How are you today?
I'm well. How are you, Nikki?
I'm doing good. I have to
Good.
say, it's a pleasure to speak with you. I love you on the weakest link, but also Glee, Party Down, Only Murders. Love it.
Good stuff.
And I have to mention, like, I really loved Hollywood Game Night too, that show that you hosted. That was so
Mhm.
much fun to
Yeah,
watch.
that was a blast.
I mean, getting all those personalities together and seeing how everyone, the cast would change and seeing the different dynamics. That was
Five different games every show. We repeated every once in a while, but mostly it was five different games every show. And it was like herding cats. We were just talking about cats. So to continue our cat theme,
conversation.
but it was so much fun.
And you're an actress, so you've been on television and film and Broadway with Funny Girl. I was wondering, what makes you say yes to a project?
Oh boy, what I just you can tell right away if it's, I rarely make a mistake. I think that there and I rarely say no, to be perfectly honest with you, Nikki. I say yes to almost everything. Um, I don't know. It's like who's doing it, um, who's going to be in it, that kind of stuff. And you know, yeah, and I've been lucky. I've been asked to do really great things, really fun, different things, a wide variety, which is great. I mean, this Only Murders in the Building. I'm playing Steve Martin's stunt double. I mean, that's not something you can even put on a bucket list. That's just too random and perfect.
Definitely. And I mean, it must be a treat to work with him as well.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy, and so is Martin Short, and Selena's great. That's a really great set, really cool. Very chill, but a lot of fun.
And I think to host a game show, correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of have to love a good game night, right?
Oh, absolutely. You certainly do. I love, well, you know what? I don't necessarily like going to game nights, but I do love like playing trivia games. Like my favorite game on Hollywood Game Night was a celebrity that we played at the end. And I can be very aggressive and competitive in that. And then Weakest Link is just that. It's a quiz show basically. It's a with the clock is ticking and the camera's on you, and you have to come up with this trivia like that, and it's across the board in terms of the subject. So that is my favorite kind of a game show.
I grew up with Trivial Pursuit, which was big in my
Mhm.
family. I was wondering, did you have any big family games that you guys liked playing?
I remember we played Sorry. Do you remember Sorry? It was like
Yeah.
in the 70s. We played that, and we played Uno, um, which was a card game. And my brother and I would play, we still, when we see each other, we still, well, when we into the middle of the night, we would play backgammon and watch late night television together, like 3 or 4 in the morning. My mother would come down and goes, go ahead.
And The Weakest Link is such a specific show. I was wondering, what do you love hosting about that show specifically?
Um, well, I get to be kind of snarky, and that's kind of fun. But for the most part, and I love creating. And Weakest Link is very dramatic.
Yeah.
We have the music, and we have the light cues, and we banish people, and it's almost like Game of Thrones. Game show that's like Game of Thrones, and I love getting into that. Where the woman who originally did it, Anne Robinson, she was dead serious. She was dead serious in her demeanor, and she was like a severe British school marm, someone out of Harry Potter. And I have a little more tongue in cheek, a little more, I hope, twinkle in my eye. But I love that aspect of it, is that we make it very, very dramatic.
I was thinking about Anne Robinson, because that show was so big in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah,
Like, that was appointment television,
yeah.
and I was wondering, did you know early on how you were gonna separate yourself from
From
that?
Anne.
Yeah.
No, I didn't really think about it. Yeah, I didn't think about it, and thank God, because I think if you think about those things, the only thing that can happen is failure. I think you really have to just, and I kind of knew this. I'd been around the block a couple of times to know, don't do that to yourself, of putting someone in front of you and go, oh, I either have to be better or I have to imitate it, or you just take somebody else out of the calculation. And so for me at that point, it was an easy thing for me to do.
And some of the answers that people give in the moment are just so funny too.
Yeah, they are. There was a guy who, my question to him was, um, She hosted Hollywood Game Night and played Sue Sylvester on Glee. And he went, Ellen DeGeneres. So confident.
I was gonna bring that up because
Yeah,
I
it
watched
was
that
fun.
live and I was like, "What are you doing right now? What was
And I
going
said,
through?"
no, Jane Lynch. I'm standing right in front of him. Oh, it's great.
I think another standout moment too is recently, like the military vets getting a perfect
Yeah.
round. There was
Oh
intense.
my God. Didn't that make sense though? They're these
Yeah.
vets, they're committed and fit and understand the higher principle and work as a team. And they were the first group in my reign as host who did the perfect first round. I think we had another one after them because it was in the air, but they were the first one to do it. Perfect round.
And I think too, like what drives the viewers, there's the drama of the competition, right? There's the
Mm-hmm.
perfect round and seeing people win, but it's also the comedy and the quips of the show and the twinkle in your eye.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, how involved are you in the process of the writing, or is it really just like off the cuff moments that you have to be prepared for?
Well, the writing, which is brilliant, it's the same people, Anne and Grant Taylor and Ann Slichter, and they've won WGA awards for both shows several years. They write all the copy, and they're so good. And there are a few more people on the writing team as well, so I want to give them because they all won the WGA this year. Um, they write all my stuff, so a lot of the stuff that all my stuff when I'm reading off of the teleprompters they write. And then I have Stuart Krasnov, who's in my ear. He's our executive producer, and he's snarkier than I am, and he'll give me lines every once in a while, sometimes so snarky that I cannot say them. And then I improvise a little bit too, so it's a combination.
I mean, I'm thinking about all the different projects and you play different roles throughout your career, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that does stick out about you is that you're snarky. Were you always
Yeah.
like very snarky growing up? Is that something that came naturally?
Yeah, I think I always kind of went to the insult. And there was a time there where I was dishing it out and couldn't take it. Um, it still kind of catches me surprised if someone does, the kind of thing back at me. But yeah, I think that was always there. I don't know that it was my signature move when I was younger, and I don't know that it's my signature move in real life too. But I just happened to, kind of. A lot of people ask me to do things because of that particular talent to kind of talk down to people and find the kind of the tenderest thing about them and make fun of it.
What's the wildest request you've gotten? Now that you said that.
Well, I mean, that people asking me to be on shows, but I have had people come up to me on the street and say, will you insult me? And of course I go completely blank. I say, I can't think of anything to say, but I have had people come up to me too and say, will you say this to me? And then they get their phone out and they
Sure.
record it. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's
uh,
looking for TikTok moment these days.
I know. What are we going to do with the whole TikTok thing? What are we
I don't
going to do
know.
with our young people?
Ugh,
They'll find a way like we always do.
whole different conversation.
Yeah, it sure is.
But I have to mention Glee too, because
Yeah.
it's having such a renaissance right now, which is kind
Is
of
it? People are
it,
watching it again, huh? I
it
knew it did in the pandemic.
yeah, a lot of shows got a resurgence from the pandemic,
Yeah.
like audiences discovered that.
Yeah.
How is that for you?
Oh, it's nice. Oh gosh, I love it. I love that it's alive for a new generation. I think it was a great thing. It was kind of it works. I think it will work forever because it's about kids having other kids back and going to a place that is a refuge when the world can be so cruel. And it's kind of a microcosm for the whole world, I think, and not just high school, but kids can be so mean to each other. And this choir room was a refuge, and it was a place where all different kinds of kids from all the different social sects come together and they raise their voice in song and make a joyful noise. And I think that will always be something that not just kids but people in general flock to, that kind of story.
I mean, it's interesting how influential the show is. Like I talked to a few Gen Z coworkers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Yeah, I was a Glee kid, and because of the fact that I was a Glee kid, I love performing arts. I love
Yeah.
music. Like that was
Oh, isn't that great?
entry."
Yeah, I think a lot of kids, I've heard that those stories of a lot of kids who didn't have any music in their life, and the last thing they would ever think of doing was auditioning for the school musical, and they were auditioning for the school musical, and I think that's just so great.
And what was your highlight of the show for you? Because like my personal highlight was Vogue, your rendition of Vogue. I still
Oh,
play that.
cool. Is that your personal highlight of the whole series? The Vogue
I mean,
thing?
I'm gonna say that
One
now.
of them.
One of them.
One of them. Yeah, you don't have to say it because I mean, it was the highlight for me making that was a real big deal because I knew that video so well. I
Yeah.
was drinking in the bars when that video was, because that's what we did. We went to bars and drank and watched videos. That was kind of the thing to do in the early 80s. So I know that video really well. Seeing how much people loved it was a highlight too. So that, of course, I would say the Vogue video was probably the highlight of what I got to do. Oh, and also remaking the physical video with Olivia Newton-John was
Oh yes.
just, I mean, I loved her. My crush on her kind of, told me, you're a gay, you're a lesbian. That is too strong a crush. You don't feel about anybody else the way you feel about Olivia Newton-John. And I named my dog after her too. I had a dog named Olivia.
Oh.
Yeah. So I loved her. She was great. We remained friends and kept in touch with each other afterwards.
If they would reboot it, would you come back?
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Oh
That'd
yeah.
be fun to watch. Sue with a whole
Yeah.
crop of
Whole
kids.
new, yeah, that would be fun. I would love it.
And I do have to ask you about Party Down. Uh,
Yeah.
what is going on? Are we getting like a renewal? Does anyone know?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. So we went 12 years before we got this renewal. So who knows?
Oh, I
Who
hope it's
knows? I hope we do.
okay.
I think it went well. I know that a lot of people watch it, and I know that Stars was happy with it. So we'll see. And I think it might be a challenge to get everybody together. Everybody's so, so busy these days. We
Yeah.
weren't so busy when we did the first season.
What's next for you? You
Well, I
know.
just finished Only Murders in the Building. Um, where I was the murder victim. So I had more to do this season, doing flashbacks than I did any other season. So that was fun. I just got back 2 days ago, actually. I don't know. I have no idea what's next. I
But it's
usually have
exciting.
something in the offing, but I don't.
That's kind of exciting though.
Yeah,
The world's your
yeah,
oyster.
yeah. I don't mind it at all. I moved to a small town, and I just love it. So it's kind of nice to know that I get to stay home all summer
Well,
unless something
you
happens.
I hope you enjoy the summer. I really do.
Yeah, yeah, I will. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I
Sure.
really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Nikki. This was fun.
This was